KPSM Enforcement Operations. Week of January 12 to 18, 2026. 4 arrests, multiple weapons seized. Minister of Justice Fort van Oosten from Netherlands. Stephen Carty, Prison Director. Speech at the Breaking Ground. MP Doran. Questions silence on Sister Marie Lawrence School reconstruction. The establishment of a military, Coast Guard, and VKS station in Philipsburg. From the island, Sint Maarten, this is SXM Daily News for January 20th, 2026. The Sint Maarten Police Force, KPSM, reports the successful execution of enforcement operations across the island from Monday, January 12th through Sunday, January 18th, 2026. The KPSM team, operating in conjunction with the Uniformed Patrol Division, BPZ, deployed strategic controls at identified high-risk locations to combat criminal activity and restore order to our communities aggressively. 4 individuals were taken into custody for several criminal offences. 1. Stolen vehicle recovery. Arlett Peterson Road. A suspect was apprehended operating a stolen white Kia Picanto during a traffic stop. Several scooters were impounded for traffic violations, lack of proper documentation, license, insurance, registration, road tax, helmet use, or non-compliance with safety laws. 2. Shooting investigation. Armed suspect arrested. A suspect linked to a shooting incident was arrested. A subsequent search of the residence yielded 2 air rifles, 1 paintball gun, and a shotgun cartridge. 3. Illegal weapon possession. Carolita Road. A male suspect was arrested during a traffic stop for carrying a concealed alarm in a waste bag. 4. Drug possession and assault on officers. Kimsha Strip. A suspect was arrested for possession of narcotics, verbal assault. KPSM officers executed high-visibility operations at known hotspots. Petro Plus gas station. The location was secured and locked down. All persons on site were subjected to preventive searches. Officers confronted dangerous and unlawful behavior, including smoking near fuel pumps, public disturbance, and excessive noise violations. Island-wide traffic enforcement. 160 vehicles stopped. 45 vehicles searched. 180 individuals frisked. Weekly enforcement summary. 4 arrest scooters impounded. Multiple targeted controls at crime hotspots. Let this be clear. Anyone who disrupts public order, threatens officers, or engages in violence against law enforcement will face immediate and decisive action. Disrespect and non-compliance will not be tolerated. KPSM demands the cooperation of every resident in making Sint Maarten safer. Report suspicious activity. Comply with lawful orders. Support your police force. The police force of Sint Maarten, KPSM, responded to a domestic violence incident in Belvedere on Monday evening, January 19, 2026, resulting in 2 arrests and the seizure of a firearm. Officers were dispatched to a residence in the Belvedere area following reports of an active physical altercation between a couple. Upon arrival, officers encountered an ongoing fight between a male and female suspect, both residents of the location. In accordance with domestic violence protocol, both individuals were immediately arrested and transported to the Philipsburg police station for processing. During the investigation, officers received credible information that the male suspect, identified by the initials GI, was allegedly in possession of a firearm and had reportedly used the weapon to threaten other individuals. Based on this information, KPSM detectives obtained authorization and conducted a search of the suspect's residence. During the search, officers discovered and confiscated what appeared to be a rifle. Following interrogation, The female suspect, identified by the initials RM, was released from custody. The male suspect remains in detention pending further investigation into charges related to domestic violence and illegal firearm possession. Minister of Justice Fort van Oosten from the Netherlands, and Stephen Carty, prison director, speech at the breaking ground on long-awaited construction of the New Point Blanche prison.
Never thought we would see, yet one we never stopped hoping for. For years, those of us who worked within the detention system have carried the weight of difficult conditions, hard conversations, and complex realities. It has not been easy. There were moments of frustration, moments of uncertainty, and moments where progress felt painfully slow. And even when it seemed impossible, our people continued to believe that change was possible. This groundbreaking represents a long-awaited light at the end of the tunnel. It tells our correction officers that we are seen and that their work matters. It tells those in custody that they are not forgotten. It tells the wider community that St. Martin is serious about building a justice system that is safe, humane, and worthy of the people it serves. I want to sincerely thank the Honorable Minister of Justice, Ms. Natalie Tackling, for her leadership, determination, and willingness to confront difficult realities head-on, and for picking up the mantle to move this long-awaited project forward with diligence and resolve. I also acknowledge the previous ministers of justice, whose efforts laid the groundwork that has brought us to this moment. This milestone would not be possible without a collective commitment. I also extend deep appreciation to the implementation teams, our international partners, engineers, planners, and everyone who contributed to getting us here. This project is a result of persistence, collaboration, and a shared belief that our system can be better than it was yesterday. Today, we are just not breaking ground on a building. We are breaking ground on hope for safer working conditions, better rehabilitation outcomes, and a detention system that reflects dignity and responsibility.
Because this groundbreaking ceremony is a milestone, first and foremost, this project will contribute to a safe and secure St. Martin, where impunity is not an option and actions have consequences, if you allow me to echo Ms. Tackling's words. But I also believe imprisonment should lead detainees towards better, more honest lives. That means imprisonment should not only be about punishment, but also about education, about creating opportunities for people to earn money in a decent way and to build a better future once they are released. And today we are taking a major step towards a well-functioning, humane prison system in which punishment and prospects go hand in hand. A system that functions as a pillar of the rule of law. And this milestone today provides perspective for the complex challenges from the past and to the present. And the fact that all of us are standing here together is not just symbolic, but in fact is a concrete result of intensive cooperation between St. Martin and the Netherlands on prison matters. And I speak on behalf of the entire Dutch government when I say that we wish to continue this cooperation in the future. In that light, I want especially to mention the State Secretary for the Interior and the Kingdom Relations, Mr. Eddy van Marum, because his ministry made 20 million euros available for this construction project, as well as 10 million euros for broader improvements for the detention sector. And Mr. van Marum has made great efforts to ensure progress on this project from the side of the government of the Netherlands, for which I thank him. 5 years after the first meetings on this very important topic between the Ministry of the Interior of the Kingdom and Kingdom Relations, the Minister of Justice of St. Martin and the United Nations Office for Project Services, construction is now getting underway. And this is a tangible result that follows an extensive design phase and a thorough procurement process. And it is thanks to the efforts of a great many people that the design will now come to life. And I'm very happy that you introduced some of them who are standing behind there and who even worked here so many years ago and are still doing it today. I'm sure we all look forward to seeing the facility's expanded capacity from mid-2027 onwards. We are all aware that the construction phase will be challenging. The prison will remain operational while the work takes place. I have confidence in the dedication of Minister Tackling, as well as the prison director and its staff, UNOPS and the contractor and their team, to ensure the project is carried out swiftly and smoothly. Thank you, Minister Tackling, for allowing me to share these brief remarks, but most of all, I want to take this moment to congratulate you and your predecessors, which I've seen here today, I've met earlier this week, on achieving this milestone. Your combined efforts have led us all to this point. I look forward to our continued cooperation on prison matters within the Kingdom, and I'm very happy to be here today with the team who came all the way over from the Netherlands today with me. Thank you so much for your attention.
The Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labour, Mr. Richenel S.J. Brugge, announces that the Secretary-General of the Ministry of Public Health, Social Development and Labour, VSA, Ms. Joy Arnell, has submitted the Ministry's end-of-year report in accordance with Article 9 of the Organisatiebesluit VSA. In fulfillment of this legal obligation, the heads of departments submitted written reports to the Secretary-General prior to January 15th, outlining the activities carried out during the preceding year, key developments, and other matters relevant for inclusion in the Ministry's annual report. These submissions form the foundation of the consolidated report prepared by S.G. Arnell and Staff Bureau. While the legal deadline for submissions by department heads has been met, the document is currently considered a draft. In accordance with the Landsverordening in Richting en Organisatie Landsoverheid, the Cabinet of the Minister forms an integral part of the Ministry and will therefore also contribute to the report. Additionally, where necessary, department heads will be afforded the opportunity to further refine, supplement, or strengthen their respective sections to ensure accuracy and completeness. Once finalized, the annual report will be formally submitted to the House of Parliament and shared with other relevant stakeholders. This process underscores the Ministry's continued commitment to good governance, transparency, and accountability, ensuring that the public and oversight bodies are fully informed about the Ministry's activities, performance, and responsible use of public resources.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
Member of Parliament Egbert J. Doran is raising concerns over what he describes as a lack of communication from Minister of ECYS, Melissa Gums, regarding the future of the Sister Marie Lawrence School, while acknowledging that the demolition of the former school building was a necessary and long-awaited step. MP Doran says the process appears to have stalled at precisely the moment when clarity is most needed. Since the demolition several months ago, he notes, there has been no public update from the minister on when reconstruction will begin or how the project is expected to move forward. The demolition marked progress, Doran stated, but progress without follow-through is not enough. Once that phase was completed, the logical next question is when construction starts, and on that, the minister has been silent. Doran pointed out that the building permit for the school was signed in 2023 during his tenure as minister, specifically to avoid administrative bottlenecks and allow the project to advance smoothly. Against that backdrop, he is now seeking answers on what preparatory work has been carried out since demolition and what is causing the apparent delay in moving to the construction phase. The MP is also pressing for clarity on the financial side of the project, particularly concerning the widely discussed 10% down payment made to a foreign contractor for the construction of schools. Although the minister has indicated that the contractor is no longer involved, Doran says this does not automatically close the matter. We understand that the contractor is no longer part of the discussion, he said, but a significant amount of funds was already paid. It is only reasonable to ask how that situation affects Sister Marie Lawrence School and what it means for planning and timelines going forward. Parliament, regarding the Nature Policy Plan for St. Martin 2025-2029, presentation by the Minister of Patrice Gums, Minister of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment and Infrastructure.
To give you an impression of the Global Biodiversity Framework, the GBF, I have included this table overview of the targets. The GBF has 23 targets to be achieved by 2030. If you group them, they fall under 3 categories. The first one, reducing threats to biodiversity. The second, meeting people's needs through sustainable use and benefit sharing. The third, tools and solutions for implementing and mainstreaming. All these targets must take into consideration an approach inclusive of the following: whole of government and whole of society. Without going into much detail of these targets, I would like to highlight some for your attention I think are really important and relevant for St. Martin. So under category 1, reducing threats to biodiversity, we can look at, for example, reducing impacts of invasive species, reducing pollution risks, and minimizing the impact of climate change. Under category 2, meeting people's needs through sustainable use and benefit sharing, we can look at restoring, maintaining, and enhancing nature's contribution to the people, including ecosystem functions, and improving human health and well-being with biodiversity-inclusive urban planning. And finally, under tools and solutions, full integration of biodiversity into policies, regulations, planning, public-private partnerships and resource mobilization, and finally, availability of and access to data. In this next slide, and of course before proceeding into the details of the Nature Policy Plan, we first want to clear what the Nature Policy Plan does not cover. I think that's really important. Since the development of nature and environmental policy plans of the Netherlands Antilles, there has been a distinction between an environment. Environment pertains to the gray subjects of waste management, energy, soil pollution, water quality, and so forth. Meanwhile, nature specifically addresses the green and blue subjects of species protection, habitat conservation, the monitoring and management of protected areas, and any direct threats thereto. Since these two areas are inextricably linked, it is the intention to complement this policy with the formation of a separate environmental policy plan. However, it should be noted that there is only one national legally requirement to develop a nature policy plan, as just outlined in the legal framework. As the Netherlands Antilles, the difference between the nature and environment subject areas were established. However, the two policy plans were initially merged into one document. See bottom image of Nature and Environmental Policy Plan of the Netherlands Antilles. These were eventually separated, and on the top left-hand corner of the slide, you can see the Nature Policy Plan of the Caribbean Netherlands 2013-2017. However, the Caribbean Netherlands has recently decided to merge these back together in their recent Nature Environmental Policy Plan 2020-2030 and extend implementation from 5 to 10 years, which is in line with the biodiversity strategies of the CBD. Of course, referencing again the ACAI targets and the new GBF. While we are here today to discuss the approval update of the Nature Policy Plan for St. Martin, we do recognize the need for the Environmental Policy Plan and want to make it clear that we fully acknowledge the work that needs to be done in the environmental sphere of St. Martin, and acknowledge that a poorly managed environment directly impacts all areas of the nature sphere. However, for the purpose of this discussion today, we will narrow our focus on the topics relevant to the Nature Policy Plan.
Reporter asks the Prime Minister, Dr. Luc Mercelina, at the Compress briefing, "You made mention of the fact that you met with the Minister of Defense, Mr. Fort van Oosten, from the Netherlands. One of the things he spoke about was the establishment of a military, Coast Guard, and VKS station in Philipsburg. For some time now, they have needed to have somewhere to call home. In fact, we are looking forward to building and have their own headquarters. Where are you now in accommodating them to ensure that they have somewhere that they can call home? As you know, it falls under my responsibility."
As you know, VKS falls under my responsibility. When I took office, of course, there were a lot of problems, actually logistics problems by the VKS. One of them, for example, was that the VKS was not insured. Can you imagine standing on the roads, trying to control safety of our community, not being insured? I don't know if you remember that. Then all of a sudden, I realized that, and I said, this is unacceptable for St. Martin, so I make arrangements, and all the VKS'ers are insured. Secondly, now, coincidentally, now I'm in the phase of purchasing vehicles for the VKS. That is very important. And also now I'm still, since I'm busy, but it's a very, very difficult legal procedure that has to be followed for us to have enough arms to equip the VKS with. And thirdly, of course, we are busy also at this particular moment to see a new establishment for the VKS. So I started with the insurance, then we are busy now almost finalizing the purchase of vehicles for the VKS. And now the third step that I'm going to start with now is, and the board informed me about it, by the way, that they have the need to have a good establishment for the VKS. I want to make use of this opportunity, of course, to once more for us to be grateful and thankful that what VKS is doing for the society. As you know, we had recently a few moments that we had actually presentation of blue on the road, as we say. It helped enormously in the season, being Christmas, New Year, and I'm very grateful to see how peaceful we went through the transition of this season to New Year. And I have to compliment in the first place the Society of St. Martin, and of course, secondly, the contribution of police, of the VKS, and also the technical assistance that we got from the Netherlands to have the military also involved in our operation to guarantee safety and security for the people of St. Martin.
If I may, have you identified the location for the establishment of the VKS?
Not yet.
Now for the weather forecast, today through Wednesday midday. Partly cloudy and breezy, becoming cloudy at times with isolated showers. Surface winds, today through Wednesday midday, easterly with a moderate to fresh breeze at 14 to 22 mm/shape and higher gusts. State of the sea, moderate to rough waves, swells 5 to 9 feet. Outlook through Thursday midday, generally cloudy and breezy with scattered showers. And now your 3-day forecast.
Savvy, your social and health insurance is Savvy, your social and health insurance is.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Savvy, yeah, your social and health insurance is.
The Centrale Bank van Curaçao and Sint Maarten, CBCS, is pleased to announce the launch of 2 new interactive statistical dashboards, the Monetary and Financial Statistics Dashboard and the External Sector Statistics Dashboard. These tools form an important part of the CBCS's broader strategy to strengthen data visualization and improve the accessibility, transparency, and clarity of official statistics for a wide range of users. Meanwhile, the External Sector Statistics Dashboard provides insights into the balance of payments developments, trade flows of goods and services, investment patterns, and other external sector indicators, helping users better understand the monetary union's external vulnerabilities and economic linkages with global markets. These dashboards are central to the CBCS's ongoing efforts to modernize the way statistical information is disseminated. By transitioning from static publications to dynamic interactive tools, the CBCS aims to improve access to complex economic data, enhance transparency and public understanding, support evidence-based decision-making, encourage wider use of official statistics in research, planning, and policy discussions. Both dashboards allow users to analyze trends interactively, export data, and incorporate insights into their own analyses and decision-making processes. Most data are available at the monetary union level, as well as separately for Curaçao and Sint Maarten. As a result, policymakers, researchers, financial institutions, journalists, students, and the general public now have access to user-friendly visualizations of key macroeconomic indicators. Looking ahead, the CBCS plans to further expand its dashboard with real sector and public sector statistics dashboards. These additions will create a more complete suite of interactive tools. Houston, Caracas. U.S. energy giant ConocoPhillips is evaluating potential investments in Venezuela with caution, prioritizing recovery of significant outstanding legal claims and watching how the evolving political landscape unfolds. The company, one of the major Western oil producers forced out of Venezuela more than 2 decades ago, following nationalization of its assets, is reportedly taking a measured approach to future commercial activity in the South American nation. ConocoPhillips continues to monitor political developments, including the recent capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro by U.S. forces and subsequent calls from the U.S. government for increased foreign investment, but has not committed to large-scale reinvestment, prioritizing arbitration claims. A key reason for the company's caution is its ongoing effort to recover approximately $12 billion in arbitration claims against the Venezuelan state, dating back to expropriations in the early 2000s. ConocoPhillips says settling these long-standing financial issues remains a priority before any new major investment decisions are made. Earlier this month, U.S. President Donald Trump publicly encouraged U.S. oil companies to invest in revitalizing Venezuela's energy sector, a plan that could entail billions in capital expenditures. However, ConocoPhillips has maintained a cautious posture amid uncertainty over legal protections, fiscal frameworks, and political stability. This is our SXM Daily Newscast. Thank you for joining us.